It's the pink ladies.
Okay.
Oh, they're in pink.
Good morning.
I'm already still confused by the post that was posted yesterday by these crazy ladies.
The Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls.
That was an old video.
Funny. It was funny. I loved it.
ladies.
Good
Good morning, Kara.
Cam.
So are all of you participating today?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Let me turn my little recording on and we'll get to it.
Hi, Sally.
Hey.
Recording in progress.
Long time no see.
Okay, y'all are on.
Already, huh?
Let me fix
Okay.
this. Okay. Okay. What's it doing? There we go. Hit it.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this part of our Tennie Talks. We're going to be talking about friendship, and I'm surrounded by some of my closest friends, Miss Jackie, Miss Misty, and Cora. We're here visiting Cora in her wonderful condo here on the beach, and we took out time for the beach to be with y'all this morning, so we're sacrificing. No, it's good to be here with y'all and talk about friendship. And you know, Bill W., his best friend turned out to be Ebby. They were friends growing up, and then Ebby's the one that took the message to Bill about recovery from alcoholism. And so Bill called Ebby his beloved. And that's what a good friend is can be a beloved friend. It is someone that you trust, and that trust has to be built. And but one of the things, how we usually set up friendships is how we did friendships growing up, what was shown to us by our families. And in my family, what we were taught was triangulation. I had one sister, and you know, my mother would get with me and she would talk and say bad things about my sister at every age, even after we grew up. And then she would come to me and tell me about my sister. And then finally, when I got into recovery, I realized what was going on, and my sister and I fought all the time. And it was really mother keeping that going. Because, you know, I thought my sister was mother's favorite child. She thought I was mother's favorite child. We got together and decided that mother was her own favorite child. You know, my mother was a little self-centered alcoholic, and I loved her. And she never got well. But anyway, she taught me about triangulation. And I carried that into my adult life and into my women friends, because it's like I never had the confidence to have a friend, just me have a friend, one-on-one friend. So what I would do is I would have a friend, and then I would introduce her to someone else. And then how it would get set up, they would like each other, because these were, I didn't hang out with people that wasn't sharp and smart and cute, you know, so then these two people would get to where they would like each other. And they might even do some activities that I didn't like, and so I would feel left out. That is the triangulation that we go through so we can be let down. And it took me a long time and good sponsorship to realize that, what I was doing. And then I could feel left out like I did growing up, bless my heart. And then I could get mad at both of them, and I'd mark them off of my list. And then I'd start over. So the program really has taught me about friendship and how valuable friendship is. And the way they've taught me is through good sponsorship. Some of the best friends I've ever had have been sponsors. I had one woman tell me, she said, "Now, I'm not here to be your best friend. Now, if that happens, that's all right, but I'm here to help you work these steps and to call out to you what you don't want to hear. So anyway, friendship is important, and I think, you know, men's friendships, I think, look a little different than women. Men usually, you know, bond over sports, or they bond over work or hobbies. I think women bond over communication. We bond over feelings. We bond over, you know, sharing our deepest moments with each other. And the important thing is to find safe people to bond with, so your story won't come back to you. You know, one of the ways that you can tell if you've got a trustworthy friend is give them some information and watch how long it takes for it to come back to you. Because if they go tell someone else and they tell someone else, then someone will feel like you need to know and they will tell you. That's not friendship. Friendship is honesty. Friendship is showing up when we don't want to. It's showing up when it's not convenient. It is being there for each other. And that's what, you know, good, healthy friendship is. And in order to have that, you've got to pretty well start out with some healthy people. You know, so be careful who you choose to be close friends with. If you choose sick people, you're going to have a sick relationship. That's why a lot of times our friendships will change in recovery. If the people in our circle, if they don't change along with us, we either outgrow them or we have nothing in common in recovery. And so it doesn't mean they're bad, awful, wrong. It just means we have grown to another place. And so I can't tell you enough about good friendship and how important it is. And I have been blessed with having some very, very deep friendships. You know, 5 of those friends have passed away in the last 3 or 4 years. Some of my truest friends that have been friends for years and years and years and years. And every one of them were connected with the program one way or the other, either through Al-Anon, AA, OA. And so that we have to find a common ground, something to bond us. And really what has bonded me with the friends that I have today is really recovery. And it doesn't mean I don't have friends that are not in recovery. We just don't have quite as much in common as those in recovery. You know, you give me another recovering person and we can talk, you know, because we talk about real honest, you know, we talk gut stuff. You know, I hear from a dear friend every morning. Every morning I hear from her. I've already heard from her this morning. That's been going on for years and years and years. So that's another thing. We have to stay connected. You know, you can have a friend and not ever see them. Now, you know, if you've got a deep friendship with someone, you can go a long time and not see them and then pick up right where you left off. I had a dear friend, Barbara. She passed away a couple of years ago. She was a minister's wife. I didn't see her very often. You know, I might go 2 or 3 years without seeing her, but when we would get together, it was like we'd been together the day before. That's deep friendship. But it's also, I've always had what I call a running buddy. I always have someone to do things with and to have fun with and to cry with. That's what deep friendships are. And I do believe men, you know, we've got Jeff here, he can tell us, I do believe men have some, you know, some deep friendships, but for some reason or other, I think women, we go deeper emotionally. I don't know because I'm not a man. But I do think that there's such a need for women to have healthy friendships. And so, by the way, I have got 3 of my good friends here, and I want to have invited them to tell you, to share how they feel about friendships, because each one of them have some, not, in spite of my ego, I'm not the only best friend they have. They each have some good friends. I'm not the only one. And they have learned how to build friendships. And how, through, and everyone here is in recovery from codependency. In order to have a good friend, we've got to find someone healthy. Otherwise, if we're in our codependency, we're going to rescue them, we're going to take care of them, and then we're going to do something they don't like, and then they're going to mark us off of their list. So you have to really be healthy to have healthy friendships, because health attracts health, sickness attracts sickness. So I'm going to start with Miss Jackie here. Jackie, tell us about, and I know you are a good friend and you have some good friends. Tell us how you got there.
Well, hello everyone, I'm Jackie. It's been a minute, so I'm glad to be here today with this group of wonderful friends and ladies. The topic of friendship, it has changed over the years for me quite a significant amount since coming into recovery. But prior to that, I used to find people, I think, that were kind of broken, that I thought I could rescue or fix them, because that was how I got my feel-goods, doing for others what they could do for themselves, and oftentimes just deflecting my attention onto somebody else so I didn't have to look within. And when I came into recovery, I learned how to start looking at myself differently and my motives with my friendships. And I've come to learn, I used to think that quantity over quality, so to speak, meant that having lots of friends was good, and it meant I was important and people cared about me, because that's how I got my feel-goods. With codependency, you want everybody to like you and you get all your feel-goods from everybody else. But in recovery, I've learned that it's not about how many friends I have, it's about the few people who are real, who know me, who I can be my true authentic self and be honest with. And they can be honest with me and trust me that they know that I'm there for them. And that's where it's pivoted quite a bit when Tennie talks about recovery. A large portion of my closest friends are in the recovery rooms. That's very true. And I have some that are outside of that, but I don't think they're quite as deep as the ones who have true recovery, because we speak a different language. We can be our true authentic selves. And I have one girlfriend, and she's probably one of my dearest friends and has been for 35 years. But she knows every Monday night I'm going to this meeting, and every Saturday I'm at this meeting, and she knows don't call me during those times. I mean, she just respects my recovery. She respects and wants to support me in that. And she'll work around plans for us around those, knowing the dates and times I have my meetings, so that we can spend time together. But she knows she knows how important they are to me. And so those are the kind of friends I have in my inner circle today. One of the things I've learned through friendship is another point is being able to say hard things. Real friendships for me are ones where I can say difficult things, not to hurt the other person, but because I care and I want to be honest and be truthful and be the kind of person that helps them grow and that I can grow from. And when we say things sometimes that are uncomfortable, and you all should know this from the master over here next to me, Miss Tennie, she'll she can say some uncomfortable things, but the truth will set you free. And sometimes hearing those things, it allows you to grow from that, and you can respect it and appreciate it if you are open and willing, and if you can trust the people you surround yourself with. And Tennie happens to be one that I would trust with my life, so I really trust everything she tells me. Another area I have found to be beneficial for me is, or category with friendships, is I pick where I left off. And I think Tennie touched on this a little bit with her friendships as well. But I've learned in a true friendship, it doesn't require constant contact. It doesn't mean I don't love them anymore, but sometimes life gets busy. And when you're with the right people, you can go without talking to them for a period of time and it does not impact it, whatever. Like she said, you pick up where you left off. So I have friends that live in other cities, other countries, and I can call them and I know A, they'll pick up the phone when I call them if I need them, and B, if I haven't talked to them in 3 months, they'll be like, what's going on? How can I help? Are you okay? We're there for each other, and that's a true friendship. Friendship, I used to have friendships that would, well, if you do this for me, then I gotta do that for you kind of thing. It was like tit for tat. And that wasn't a true, authentic friendship, and that didn't feel good to me. In recovery, I've learned to accept people where they are, but I've also learned that I'm of value and I'm worthy of a good friend, and I've learned that to have a friend, I have to be a friend. And so I really try to focus on being my true authentic self, but also suiting up and showing up for them too when they're in need. And I feel like it's been a game changer. The last point I have on friendship is how my friends make me feel. One of the biggest things I think a friend can do is when you're with them, do they listen? Are they engaged? Are they, do you feel safe? Do you feel supported? Are you in an environment that you feel understood? Or do you feel drained and upset and unheard and dismissed? You get to choose who you let in your inner circle. You get to choose who you have in your life. And if you choose someone that doesn't value you and your time, or when you're with somebody, they only talk about themselves and it's always a problem, or it's always this, or it's always that, that's not an equal, loving friendship. I have friends that have been there in the worst of times and the very best of times, and they want to celebrate it all with me. And that's the beautiful part. When it's the best of times, you want those people around you to celebrate and love and embrace you. But you know that when you're in a low part of your life, because life's full of hills and valleys, you're never going to be this, nobody has this perfect life where life doesn't happen on life's terms, but it's how you ride those waves. Do you dance in the rain, or do you sit on your pity potty and you feel sorry for yourself? I have friends that will say, well, let's look at this. What can we do? Let's talk about this and help me work through things when I'm struggling on something. And of course, I have a sponsor, which is, as everyone knows, a wonderful tool in your tool bag. So for me, in recovery, friendships aren't just connections. They're about the growth, the honesty, the vulnerability. It's about being true to myself, being safe, and them feeling safe with me. And for that, I'm really grateful, and I'm grateful to be here with my girls today, and thank you all for letting me share on the topic of friendship.
Thanks, Jackie. So, Cora, what do you have about friendship that you'd share with us?
Well, I'd love to share. So, a couple of things I'd love to share is we have had more open, honest, real conversation these past few days. I felt it's a completely safe space. I've been able to share things that you really just can't share with anybody. And you all have been open and listening and providing me with wonderful advice, and I'm grateful for that. The older I get, for me, friendship is all about finding people that are real, that love you, that will be there for you, just like you said, Jackie. I do echo really everything that you said. Also, it's about good energy, being around people that are positive, that have good energy, that are willing to work on themselves, that are willing to really dig deep. Superficial doesn't really work for me anymore. Once you're with raw and real people that are going to share their innermost thoughts and not give you a superficial answer, and not be afraid to say the truth, the hard truths, it's hard to be with superficial people after that. It just really is. One thing you taught me, Tennie, and I want to share it for purposes of everybody, is I never understood the difference between a codependent relationship and an interdependent relationship. And once you set me straight about that, I see it now, and I see it in every relationship I have. And those codependent relationships just don't serve me anymore. And when we have an interdependent relationship, and we have people in our lives that we give to them, they give to us, they're there for us when we need them, we're there for them when they need us. And I think a really good true friend is one that the minute they hear your voice, they say, "What's wrong?" And you say, "Nothing, I'm fine." And they say, I don't believe that. And then, that little opening gives you the opportunity to say, "All right, well, here's what's really going on." And we're only as sick as our secrets, and we're only as sick as the things we keep in our head. And I think this morning, was a good example, Jackie. Jackie and I went for an early morning walk, and we had a really good, raw, honest, real conversation. And it felt good. It felt good to be able to share with a safe person and to get opinions from people that you love and respect. And I'm looking forward to some more really good conversations, ladies, the next few days. But as I get older, friendship really means more to me. And I did feel the way you did, Jackie. I felt that the more friends you had, the more popular you were, and it was just good. A lot of friends. And now, geez, the friends I can hold on my, on my left hand. If I have 5 good friends, 6 good friends, and they're there for me, and I can be honest and open and real and vulnerable. Boy, oh boy, how lucky am I? So again, I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for the time I have with you ladies. I'm grateful for the friends in my life. I've been through a few really hard times lately, and it's so interesting that such good comes out of bad sometimes, because I realize the people that are there for me, the people that showed up for me, the people that cared about me. And in those times, I think you see the people that really love us, the people that really are going to be there for us because we've been there for them. So that's what I want to share. Friendship's really important to me. And the older I get, it becomes even more important.
Thanks, Cora.
Sure.
So, 13 years ago, my husband passed away with Alzheimer's. It was one of the darkest times of my life. And the year before that, my beloved Kathy, a dear, dear friend, and we sponsored each other. We talked every morning at 5 o'clock. She died the year before my husband did. And like I said, I was at the lowest point I guess I've ever been in my life. And so I did what I was taught to do. I started praying, and I started praying for a new best friend. Because I thought, left to my own devices at the point that I was at, I'd just grab anyone, So I just started praying for a new best friend. And I just waited and waited and waited. One morning I was at my kitchen window, and I was looking out, and I saw this little woman pushing a baby carriage, and she had this little toddler with her. It was her child, and he would run up in my driveway, and she had this top knot on the back of her head that was just bouncing. And so every morning I started watching. I'd wait for her. She wouldn't be there every morning, but I started watching for her. And then one morning she came by, and I would just notice the gentleness that she had with her children. I had no idea who she was, but it came to me. God just spoke and said, "She's your new best friend." So I gave her time to get home. Our town is very small. I gave her time to get home, and then because I went to the end of the street and watched and figured out which house she lived in. And so I got in my little red golf cart, and I went down to her house, and I knocked on her door, and she came to the door, and I introduced myself, and I said, "I'm Tennie McCarty, and I live over there in that red house, and I'm your new best friend." And that was Misty Hall. And she's been my best friend ever since. We connected in a way, and on paper it looks like it wouldn't work, but it has worked really well. So, Misty, tell us your side of that story.
Well, like Tennie always says, God works both ways, and He does good work. And I won't go for sake of time into it, but the Bible talks about our sigh prayers, like those deep sighs where you're just like, you don't even know what to do. Those are prayers to God, and He knows what we have need of before we can ask or think. And so I say, well, you are the answer to my side prayers. God works both ways, and it's been the most precious, beloved friendship of my lifetime. And I have some best friends, I have some wonderful friends. And this is definitely a divine friendship that she talked about. But, and with that being said, you know, a few things, they've covered everything about friendship, but I'll just add a few things I was thinking of as they spoke. And with friendship, especially with meeting Tennie and the last several years, what I've learned is there are no barriers with friendship. Like, we're all on equal ground. You know, who would have thought a lawyer from New York, a designer, decorator from Kentucky, a drug and alcohol addiction therapist, 83 years old from West Texas, and a Pentecostal preacher's wife, you know, would get along so well. But it's like, to me, we're all on common ground. You know, it's just that bond of love. And I never thought about this either till Tennie mentioned that about learning how to have friends from your family and, you know, relationships and all that. And I got to thinking about my mother and because to me, what defines friendship, it's family that we choose. We are so blessed with our wonderful families that we're born into, and then God puts people along our way that we choose as family. And but they're the kind of family that, like, they could leave. Like, if things get tough, a friend could leave. They're not connected, you know, as far as family, but they keep choosing you. They keep choosing you, and I think that's what makes friendship special. And my mom, growing up, she always was so inclusive and would have friends they just became our family. We'd have them for holidays, whatever. And so that's how I was raised, and so that's how I kind of look at friendship. I don't know how everybody else does, but for me, and they've covered all the deep stuff, but I just want to say another thing. The Bible, in Proverbs, it talks about a sweet friend refreshes the soul. And I love that, because that helps me to pick and choose who my friends are. Because and they each touched on this, but when you leave a friend, if you feel worse, that's probably not someone you need to be hanging out with. That might be an acquaintance, you know what I'm saying? But a friend that you can laugh with them till you're crying, and you can cry with them till you're laughing again. And you could talk about the hard stuff, all the stuff that they've said, and you know, that's a friend you need to keep. And I'm grateful to be here with these ladies. I thank you, Cora, for opening your beautiful beach home to us. And it's refreshed my soul. I'm coming back a better wife, a better mother, better person after this week with these sweet friends.
Anything else from each of you? Jackie, you have anything else?
Well, thank you guys. I mean, I feel the same way about you all. It's been quite a lovely week so far. We came here on Friday. Today's Wednesday? So we've had a few days together, and it's just been lovely. And that's an example of leaving, letting go, but picking up where you left off. I mean, I don't get to talk to Tennie and Cora and Misty that often in our day-to-day routine lives, but they know if they needed something, they could call me, and vice versa. And that we made time to do this together just tells you the value I have in our friendships, and what's important to me. And them taking the time to spend with me fills up my cup a little bit too. You know, it's a mutual give and take, loving feeling, and I'm grateful for it. And this is just a perfect example of us four individuals who wouldn't think we'd have anything in common can pick up and spend 8 days with each other and just never miss a beat. You just get up and show up, and you just be yourselves and just have a good time, and that's what we're doing. And so for that, I'm grateful. And yeah, thanks for having us.
I just want to add one thing. I think a true friendship is one that you never have to worry isn't going to last a lifetime. That if you have a misunderstanding, or you have a tough time between the two of you, that you'll work through it. Right. So that fear isn't there. You know, I think a true friendship stands the test of time. And if it doesn't, it was your friend for a season. How do you say it, Tennie?
Yeah.
Not for a lifetime. And it's okay now. You know, I always thought I had a friendship, I had a relationship, and it was there for life. And when it wasn't, it was so hurtful. But But a true friend and someone who you want in your life is someone who you'll work through whatever. Doesn't matter. You know that you care about each other enough that you'll do the hard work to get through and sustain the friendship. So I've learned that, that's a good lesson to learn, but I've learned it and grateful for it.
So I think that God puts people in our lives at the time that we, usually need each other. And people are put in our lives so we can learn from them about ourselves and they can learn about themselves from us. And sometimes we get the lessons learned and then we're moved out of each other's lives. Sometimes we never see them again. Sometime years later we'll be put back into each other's lives. So there's different types of friendships. And then there's some that God puts someone in our life and we're together until the end of time. It's just that type of friendship. So in that type of friendship, one of the things that brings with it is knowing how to set healthy boundaries. We're really big at Shades of learning how to set healthy boundaries. And what that means is being able to say no when needed. To have a healthy, balanced relationship, it can't be where there's one doing all the giving and the other one doing all the taking. It's got to be a balance and know that you can say no when you need to. And being honest when it's uncomfortable, and I don't like that. I do not like it when Misty points things out to me. I do not. But she has that privilege. I have given her that privilege. Let me know how I'm showing up, and she does. So I may take that off the table. But anyway, and then it's showing up for each other when it's inconvenient. Things never happen to people at a convenient time. There's death, there's sickness, there's you name it. And it's being able to show up regardless of or no matter what. And I've got some dear friends that have done that for me over and over. And in turn, I've been able to do that for me. There's no way that if I got a call that I wouldn't go. I don't care what's happening, in my life, I would go. And they in turn would come to me. Another one is growing yourself up and not expecting the other person to, to tolerate intolerable behavior. It is about growing yourself up. It's about not expecting too much out of others. We're all human beings and we can't expect too much. I have had some friends that wanted me to give, and in my codependency, I would. And it wore me out. When I got healthy, somehow those friendships are not around anymore, So another one is a friend is someone you can laugh with and then you can cry with. And it can be in the same hour,
Yes.
So that's what I have or what we have on friendships.